Hi, everybody. I'm Dana Crawford, the Power Selling Mom, and you're listening to the Power Selling Podcast. Today, I'm joined by Lori Knowles from Central Florida, and she has some great information to share with us today. She's so fascinating, so let's get started. Okay, Lori, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Okay, I'm Lori. I'm also known as Central Florida Reseller, and I've been reselling for about 22 years. I delved into it probably in about fifth grade when I had brought some of those atomic fireballs to class, and the people in my class all wanted them, and I ended up giving away a bag, and I had about two of them for myself. So the next time I'm like, no, I this was my money. I paid for it. And they're like, no, we'll pay for it. So, and they
Wow.
came up with a price, and they're like the first person's like, how about three for 25 cents? And I walked away with a pocket full of change and a love for reselling. So,
Oh my gosh, I love that. So it all started with fireballs.
yeah.
That's
So,
hilarious. Oh my gosh,
yeah.
did you up it later to, Twizzlers or something or stick
No, but I had a love for thrifting. So, I did find things that I could resell, not knowing I was going to resell, but I found in the, I guess, probably late 90s, I found a brand new Rubik's Cube, and it was thrown back to the 80s. And at the time, several years old. And when eBay came along, I threw it up on there, and eBay was auction only. It sold for $75. So I was like, I think I can do this. So I kind of
Wow.
just dabbled over the years a little bit, raising a family, and so I started really reselling and concentrating on it back and when the Great Recession hit, and my husband had got a 20% pay, and
Oh wow.
so yeah, we had to do something. Our kids were classically trained musicians, and their lessons were really expensive. So I started watching people at yard sales, actually focusing on what people were buying at yard sales, and I started really doing Craigslist mainly,
Oh wow.
and some a little bit of eBay here and there, and then I did Amazon, and I was happy to make a couple $100 a month, and then it just kept growing.
What kind of items do you resell now?
I like to say that I sell anything that will turn green. But I try to keep my profit margin high. I like to sell old collectibles. I don't really want to sell clothing, but it speaks my name, and I have to rescue it if I find it. So I will buy something like, I bought a Levi's denim jean jacket recently, like an 80s version. And, I really don't want to do that, but I know I can sell it. So I will do that. Rare antique items as well. So I will buy and sell glassware, anything, pretty much hard goods, anything I can get my hands on.
So you enjoy the hunt.
I do. I do enjoy the hunt. Yeah. It's when I first started, from the time I was first married, I would go out to yard sales and buy my kids their clothing because I just couldn't stand to pay retail. And we didn't have a lot of money. So I would buy the kids' clothes and toys at yard sales. And then I would buy things that reminded me of my grandma or an aunt or something. And I would say, well, that's got some value to it. It means something to me. And so this was a natural progression for me.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
And yeah, it saves you a lot of money with the
It's
kids' clothes and the shoes and things that they need for school, especially.
right, right.
Yeah. Also, I heard that you were into costume jewelry.
I am. I'm very much into costume jewelry. I found some really cool things, and part of it's just because I love jewelry,
Do you?
and then yeah, I do. I mean, I bought this from a hairdresser, um, but I like any kind of jewelry. It doesn't have to be costume. I've actually helped some friends and rescued estates. I'll buy. My daughter had a friend, her mother-in-law passed away, so I bought her estate of jewelry, and I try to be, make sure I'm fair and give a fair price and make people walk away
Sure.
happy and recommending me to somebody else. So
Oh, I love that. that helps. It's a win-win for everybody.
It is. It is. And it's small. I can
Yeah,
easily store that away. And yeah.
sure. So what are some of your noteworthy sales?
Speaking of costume jewelry, one of my sales that I did really well with is I'd been at a yard sale early in the morning, and the lady was like, "Well, come back later. My daughter's going to be here, and she's bringing some other things." So it was the last place I went on my way home, and I found several things, and my total then was like $5, and I found a bracelet, and it was a wooden bracelet, and she said all the jewelry was 50 cents a piece, and I didn't know what it was. I just went by my gut, and I got home and I looked at it, and she threw it in. By the way, I didn't have to pay anything for it. It was part of
Oh,
the $5. Yeah. So I get home and I look at it up, and I'm like, well, this is interesting. It was from the 80s, and it was a wooden bracelet that had been painted by a famous artist in New York City, and he's still alive. And he has done several pieces of art, and I don't know if it was a tourist piece or what, but I actually looked that one up on WorthPoint, which is why I joined WorthPoint, because
sure.
it's automatically what's going to make me money. And I listed it higher than anybody had sold a bracelet that I saw anywhere, and it sold overnight for $450.
What?
Yeah, so that was
Overnight?
overnight. So that was that was a big sale, and that was very fun. And yeah, so um but one of the other sales, I have several that I think are intriguing, and
Yeah.
one of the reasons when I first started doing this, and I was like trying to figure out, is this going to work? I was cheap. I would pay 50 cents or a dollar for an item because we didn't have a lot of money. And so I bought some Disney pins, and they were new in package, and I didn't know anything. This is really before smartphones. And so I bought a little bin, like a Tupperware bin that had several pens in it. And some of them were new in the package, and I'd paid $20 for it. And I'd listed on Craigslist, and I had a guy say, "Can I come by and look?" And he actually worked locally on the radio station. I recognized his voice, and I'm like, "Okay, do you want WDBO, which is a local station here in Florida?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "You recognize my voice?" And I said, "Yeah." So he says, "Well, my son and I are collecting." So I laid him out, not knowing anything, not knowing what anything was, this years and years ago. And so he started counting, and I said, "Well, this row is $3, this row is $5, this row is 10, and these are 14." And so he started counting, and he got up to, like 180. I said, and I knew he was going to make me an offer for less. So I said, "If you want," and I figured, $200, and he's still going to offer me. I said, "How about $200? And he says, "Oh, I couldn't do that." He goes, "How about 240?" So
Oh,
that was a shocker.
yeah.
So yeah, that paid for my kids' violin
Wow. They
lessons,
must
and
have been valuable. Well, they were to him especially.
yeah, so that was a really good one. And in the last couple of months, I was at Goodwill, and I got a bag of coins, and I thought they were challenge coins for like the army, or Marines or something. And I got home, I paid $12.99 for them, and there's probably about 15, 20 of them in there. And I got home and I looked at them. I'm like, "Oh, these are Star Wars. They're probably from some game or toy, like some kid collected
Yeah.
them." And so I happened to look them up, and I found in that research that there was some of them were 501st Legion, which is a Star Wars fan club, and they actually will go to events dressed up as stormtroopers, or they'll march in
Oh,
parades or things. And they've been in movies and such as that. So I actually saw one had sold, and the one that I had was a state, and like state, like, I don't know, it was like Wisconsin or something. And so I saw a state one had sold, and there was not any others. So, how do you come up with a price?
yeah.
Like, I went everywhere looking, couldn't find anything. So I listed, I think mine was from Illinois or one of those places. Uh, I listed it for 785, and it sold overnight. So, and of
Wow.
course, I had some people telling me, I had some guys say, "Well, they're having a good laugh about you listing some of the other ones for that price," but I had to start
Oh,
somewhere.
yeah, of
And I
course.
said, I said, well, I sold one. And he goes, really?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you can go look at my sold listings on eBay. I sold one for $785. He goes, wow, well, congratulations.
Oh, they're
So
having a laugh
they
now.
removed, that was kind of funny. But yeah, I've had some fun sales like that.
I love it. Well, you're laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah,
right?
$785 is, that is amazing.
That is amazing.
This year I also sold some pigeons. They were bronze pigeons that I paid $15 for at an estate sale. And and I know the pickers. I know a lot of them that have antique booths. They walk right past them. And I listed, one was broken, like its little tail was chipped. Not chipped, but broken off, I guess, because it was bronze. And they were from the 1960s, and they sold for $650. And nice. I paid 15 for them. So
that was I love it. Good job. Yeah. That is so cool. I love hearing stories like that.
I have a few other ones like that. I've sold musical instruments. Like I've sold a French horn. I paid $75 for. I paid $75 to get it repaired, and I sold it for $2,600.
No way.
And I knew what it was because my son had taken French horn lessons. So
you even knew to get it repaired that it'd be worth the trouble.
Yeah, I felt like it was worth it. There's some things that I will get repaired, and now that took about a year to sell, but it did sell. So that's been several years ago, but that was nice. I've turned $150 into $2,600, and my husband, he's helped me along the way because he has a really good eye. And we were going out, and I'd gone on a Friday to a yard sale and stopped. And so he was driving me around on a Saturday, and I said, well, I've already stopped here. And he goes, well, I'm going to go look anyway. So he comes back to the car, and he had some sunglasses, and I opened it up, and really before we had the smartphone capabilities, and he paid $1 for them, but it was a pair of Oakley sunglasses, and we put them at auction. And I automatically had people offering me money. I had bids on it automatically. And I was like, I wasn't sure what I was doing. Like, I didn't feel like at that point that I put enough information. We were kind of like, well, what if they get them and they're not happy? So I messaged everybody. I didn't know eBay would ding you for this. And if they did, I wasn't paying attention, but I messaged everybody and said, I don't feel good about listing them like this. I'm going to relist them with every little defect that's on here. And I said, so, check is going to be up. And they ended up selling for $330, and it was $1. They were just some from the 70s that I guess were very sought after.
Wow. How rewarding.
It was rewarding.
So rewarding. I love it.
Yeah.
Wow. So what would you say are the benefits, if you could name a few benefits as being a reseller?
Well, the freedom to do what I want. I have grandchildren now. And when my husband and I want to go do something, we can go and do something. And because really I stayed home with my children, and I homeschooled my kids. And by the time they'd left to go to college, it was, my husband has time off. If I got a job, he was having 5 weeks at a time off, and I would never have the same amount of time off. So I did try to work. I worked one day, and, it just, all my kids needed me. My husband was like, this is ridiculous. And the time that I spent at work, I spent more money buying clothes. I spent more money on lunch than I was making an hour. And I got home late. My husband, and I was exhausted, and it was one day. And he's like, and I had made more than I would have made in over a week, over, about 6 to 8 hours of work. So he's like, this is not good. Let's just not do this. We'll figure it out. So, it's given me mainly the freedom to do what I want. I think is important. And if my kids need me, I can drop everything and go.
That's right. I feel the same. It's family always comes first. And if you have a full-time job, you can't just run to the school and, if somebody's sick and it just gets old with your job, they get upset. It's great advantage.
Well, and it's also given us other opportunities. My husband found a 3D printer for $25 one day that he was with me. And so that took him down a whole new field. He's learned how to do he's built 3D printers. He's sold 3D printers. He's learned how to make so many things. And it's, it's just, we have
Wow.
other, when you're buying something that you couldn't have afforded otherwise, it's definitely, when iPods first came out, we couldn't have afforded to go just buy a new
Yeah.
iPod Touch, and we found one
Right.
at a yard sale, so it's given us things, the things that we
Yeah.
needed.
People that are considering reselling, what tips would you give them?
The main one that I always tell people is, download Google Image app, so you can like look up things immediately wherever you are. The big one, look at eBay solds, and eBay now has on their app, you can actually, it's product research. You can look there for the last 3 years. It's called Terapeak, but they've changed the name. So you can look at 3 years of sold items, so you can compare and see if they're still selling or not. And also eBay also has, one of the new features is you can lock. So if you're looking for something really quickly, you can put check sold off, so you can automatically see if things are selling and what they're selling for. So I love the eBay app.
True.
Yeah, I would also say sometimes you're going to spend money on something that is not worth what you thought it was, but call that school, write it off your taxes, and learn from that, because we're all going to buy things and say, well, it looked like from what I was looking at before that it was going to sell, but maybe it's not. So just donate it and move on past it. Don't let that get you down. I'd also say learn one platform first. Don't try to take and learn all the platforms. Just keep informed about the market trends. And I would also say that List Perfectly has been a real big help for me. I use that for inventory. I can look up where, if I want to find something really quickly, or when I listed it, or what box it's in, or if I have listings I want to tweak, I can leave them there and deal with it and list it as I want to. So I would say as soon as you've learned one platform, invest in List Perfectly and start utilizing that to grow your business.
Well, speaking of List Perfectly, so what would you say are your favorite features? You could name a few.
I love the inventory. If I want to put, I have boxes and I can put the numbers, or I can, if I know something's box 1 and I want to tweak that box, I can actually go through the SKUs and find that. I do love being able to list things and work on it while I'm on vacation, or if I'm in the car driving, I can use List Perfectly and crop my images or remove the backgrounds or whatever. And that has been some of the best things about List Perfectly is that, and also the fact that I can end all my listings and not have to go to each platform individually and remove it. And it afforded me the ability to list on other platforms, because I knew I couldn't, I just couldn't tend to go to each platform and make sure I was going to delete everything. That was taking so much time.
Right.
But keeping the drafts has been huge.
Absolutely. Oh, why don't you tell us about your meetup group?
So I started a local meetup. I'm near East Orlando, and Philip Jackson's in Orlando as well, but he's 45 minutes away. And he does evenings, and I don't sleep well, so mornings and afternoons are better for me. So we're meeting. I have a meetup that meets typically on Wednesday afternoons from noon to 2 at a local Italian restaurant, and it's called Central Florida Reseller Community. And we have a meetup coming up next Wednesday, and I try to keep them one up. So a couple up every month. For every month. I have one a month, and then I list, I'll have my August up probably by the end of the day. And we have a group of people that sell across many platforms, and it's been great. Most people are, I think we tend to, somebody walks away learning something, every time. And it's been a lot of fun getting to know some people and making some friends and allies in this business, you know.
Great. But going back to List Perfectly, do you have a coupon code you could share?
I do. It's I think I forwarded it to you if you can include it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely add that in then. Perfect. Okay, Lori, I know you've been selling for a while. Was there anything that intimidated you about selling?
I think the hardest thing for me, and the most intimidating thing initially was actually shipping.
Oh,
It was scary to ship. I didn't know anything about shipping, and this is pre-YouTube. And I had to figure out how to do it all on my own and with trial and error. So that was something that really intimidated me. But now I actually had somebody contact me yesterday that they hadn't received an item. And I went back and I looked and I said, well, it says it was delivered and here's the information. So she ended up going out in her neighborhood, walking around, and it had been delivered 2 weeks ago. And it was at her neighbor's and one of her neighbors, and they didn't give it to her, which I don't understand why. But the box, you know, in Florida, she was in Florida too. And it had been damaged. Like the box had been like torn and shredded and rained on for the last 2 weeks. And she came back after. She said, I just went out and found it. And like, I don't know why my neighbors didn't bring it over. She says, but if you hadn't wrapped it so well, it would have been destroyed. And it was two little mid-century swan planters from the 1960s. And I had triple wrapped them and stuffed it in a box with whatever I could to protect it. And that I'm not any longer intimidated unless it's something like a crystal bowl. And I have somebody, like I sold a crystal punch bowl, and I actually took it to FedEx and had them ship it because I was afraid that, it was heavy. It was lead crystal, and they paid like $650 for this thing. And I was like, if you're I'm not going to risk it. So you can pay for that to be shipped, you know? And so I did do that. But that was one of the things. I got scared. Since I sold a Dooney and Burke purse, what I thought was a Dooney and Burke purse, and I did not know that people would that there was fake. There was fakes, and this was, like I said in the very beginning, and apparently it was a fake, and so that made me gun shy for a little bit. So, you know, it really did intimidate me, but now I've learned, and I do some research, and now with all the extra knowledge that's out there with YouTube videos of people showing you, and there's ways to authenticate things that doesn't cost very much money. So I've learned to do that too, you know, that's been something.
Well, I'm sure too, with your meetup, having a meetup like that and people come to you that want to start selling, I bet you can make them feel better about shipping, because I think shipping is the number one thing that people are afraid to get started.
Yeah, I think so too. There's so many people that are intimidated by it, but, you know, just watch videos on shipping items and, you know, and I do encourage people because I want them to learn how to do reselling. And I've had a couple of people that I've met out thrifting that I've invited to my meetup. And
good.
My goal is that I want them to walk away and having learned something, made a connection, developed friendships through this. And I definitely have made some, I'd say, lifelong friends from doing the meetup. I think hosting the meetup has been really encouraging for me as well, you know, not just the other people. So yeah.
And it's nice to connect with people in the community, you know, locally, on a local level. I really enjoy that as well. So I think, so how can people find you if they want to join your meetup?
I am listed as Central Florida resellers community. You can go on eBay, look under seller events, and find me there. And, you know, my store is Central Florida Vintage, my eBay store, my Etsy store. Feel free to reach out. If you're able to come to my meetup, we'd love to have you. Hopefully you could meet some people and so many. I've had a couple people come from South Florida that have taught me so many things. So like, I don't walk away. I don't know. I always say I know a little bit about a lot of things, but I'm not an expert in any of them. So I always walk away having learned something myself. And it's been great fun for me. So yeah.
Good. Yeah. I think every day is a day of learning. There's always something new to learn. Always.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
okay. Well, any final words, Lori?
No, well, Dana, I really appreciate everything you've done. I met you years ago, and have really it's been encouraging to me to learn from you over the course of time. I'd really love to make your meetup sometime, do a universal tour, and hit a few of
Oh,
the
yeah.
ones in
Florida
Florida.
tour.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah,
And you're welcome
I
to come
know.
anytime.
I would love to. And I think that we kind of do the same day, though. I think I'm the third Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm typically
Is
the
that what
third
you're doing?
Wednesday. Yeah.
That's it.
Are you at noon as
That's
well?
it. I'm at 11.
Hello.
So you
Yeah, I think
could make it just
Cheryl.
an hour.
Yeah, Cheryl's is 11 or 11:30. So, and I think hers is around the same time as mine too.
I
So,
know. I know it. It's crazy. But I think that, I mean, when, for anybody that's wanting to start a meetup, we all know that we have to do what's convenient for us and
yeah,
what time works for us and what day of the week works for us. And then evenings are rough for me as well. So I prefer to do everything during, the morning. Well, 11 is when I have mine. And I may switch it up later, but I think I'm still new. Punta Gorda is where I'm at, and it's still
right.
brand new, so I'm still just getting started.
It's
Okay.
been, we've only been meeting about a year. So,
Takes time. It takes time to build,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's a lot of fun. And yeah, I'll have to, Becca, my daughter-in-law, she helps me with mine. So she does, like, I went on a cruise and she managed the meetup. So she does a lot as well. So
Wow.
I may have to have her run it and I'll come visit one of these days.
I would love that.
So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, thank you so much, Lori, and keep up the good work.
Well, thanks. You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Dana Crawford, the Power Selling Mom, and you're listening to the Power Selling Podcast. Special thanks to List Perfectly for making this all possible, and for Lori for being a great guest. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please reach out to me. You can email me at powersellingmom@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your story. So until next time, happy online selling. Bye.